Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. She's the author of the book Divulge Divino, no other than Miss Joanna Barbola. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Joanna, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. Hello, Daniel. First, I want to say thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to spend my Thanksgiving Eve with you tonight. Um,
Yes. Happy
yeah. So happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving to you too. I hope you had a great
Yes.
feast.
Great, great, great. We have a different Thanksgiving here in Canada. We do earlier, October 14th. But
Yeah. So
anyway,
you
happy
already had your
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. I see.
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Great. Wonderful.
So
Wonderful. So it's great to be here.
you are welcome. So Miss Joanna Barbola, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. And what inspired you to write Divulge Divina?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I come from a corporate background. I spent my entire career working out of New York City's corporate America. And through the years, I was also moonlighting as a wine and art host of a networking group that I had close to 200 members on. And I used to do a lot of fun wine related and art related events, wine picnics, wine tastings, wine dinners. And because I was running this group and because of the um, amount of members I had and the activities we did, I was invited to a lot of trade events based out of New York City, wine trade events. And that's how I've acquired all of my knowledge on wine. So once I started doing a lot of these different trade events and learning so much in the wine business, I attended a lot of wine classes and wine tastings and went to different trade events from wines all over the world. I started a wine blog that I used to publish weekly. And while I was working full time, I had this wine blog. And by the time I had finished the wine blog, there was probably close to 20 different wine reviews that I had published. And really had a lot of fun with it. And I got a really good reaction, a good response from my members. And then I just kind of let it stop because I just got really, really busy in my career and I wasn't able to continue it. So once I relocated to Tampa, Florida, which is where I'm in now, um, I decided to do something with all the wine blogs. And that's when I decided to self publish it into a paperback and a Kindle version. So all of the book is in a compilation of wine reviews from different wines from all over the country. And in each chapter, I incorporate a beautiful, one of a kind abstract image of one of my many, many paintings because I'm an artist and a designer as well. So that's why it's kind of it's an art recipe book. It's also it's a wine recipe book. It's an art book. And it's done in a very witty conversational tone. I feel like I'm talking to the reader and I'm right there with them enjoying all the flavors of wine and the emotions that go along with it. So it's really a fun book. And it just sparks up a lot of conversation and wine brings people together. So there's always a lot to talk about whenever you're having wine, as I'm sure you already
Definitely.
know.
For sure. So what is the most challenging part in writing process of Divulge Divina?
I would say coming up with the different wines. I mean, I really did a lot of research trying to find the perfect wine, because the premise of the book is really to try to find a good valued bottle of wine for $25 and under. So it's not for the wine snob, it's for the average everyday person that wants to have a nice bottle of wine with dinner and not have to spend a lot of money. And it gives options for tastings and food pairings. So really, that's the premise of the book. So it took me. The challenge was finding a good valued bottle of wine and to stay in the budget that I was working with for the book. So, but it really it gave me the opportunity to uncover so many treasures that I really did not have to spend a lot of money for. So I'm very, very happy that I was able to do that.
Definitely. So, how did you
Mhm.
create a memorable and uh, relatable facts about wine?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
How did you create a memorable and relatable facts about wine?
Well, I really just turned it into a conversation. I mean, that's really how the whole book is written. It's a conversation about the wines that I've tried. It's a conversation about how I found the wines. It's a conversation about what I was doing while I was tasting the wines and what was going through my mind and what I was picturing and the flavors that was coming out of the bottle, the flavors on my palate. It was really just, what was going on at that very moment while I was indulging in the wine. And I would love to read you.
Please.
Um, yeah, I would love to read you something from the book. This is one of my favorite chapters. It's called Chapter 5. Um, Sotto Voce is the name of the chapter, and it starts like this. Where are my wine enthusiasts? The unbelievable has come to fruition. Holy moonstruck, if I can keep this treasured secret as I have up until this very moment, I will share my unbelievable findings brought to me by one of my treasured friends. Now, what would you say if I told you there is a ruby colored magic potion floating about the universe, so splendid, so energetic, and resonant, and can be purchased at your local liquor establishment at a very affordable price? Would you believe me? One taste of this on your palate, and you will begin to engage in another perfectly orchestrated wine moment. This baby can dance. She will leave you in a joyful wanderlust. Your palate will awaken, feeling your deepest desires. Your sniffy nose will cause all your senses to become instantly aroused and curious. And her finish is long and grippy, a tesoro to be carefully sipped at your leisure with the very best of friends. What is this magic potion Westerners call wine, you ask? La Vediamo Rubicon Sangiovese 2013. Now let's talk emotions. I'm seeking exuberant visions of us sitting amongst our easels on an Indian summer afternoon in a faraway exotic land. Yes, perhaps we are somewhere in Italy's Riviera, preferably Portofino, feeling the warm breeze of the sparkling Mediterranean as we are serenaded by a boisterous, bushy haired guitar strumming artist contemplating his next creation. Anyone can delight in this imagery as you fill your souls with visions of abstract movements, emotions, and energy that splashes onto your empty canvases. Are your tools handy? Do you prefer a palette knife or brush? How about the misty effect of a sponge? The smaller one, or perhaps you're feeling daring and your strokes are bolder this time. Ah, yes, the aroma of a fresh dairy fragrance of Asiago cheese, generously cut on a bright orange ceramic plate, placed in the center of our art circle, waiting to be indulged, along with some fruit, finocchia, olives, warm honey, and hot focaccia bread. Woo! Are you bursting with delight yet? I am so far removed from the mundane, I can barely stand it. And her alcohol level is at 12%. She is ready to rumba. So am I. Now let's talk pairings. She is food friendly. Italian cuisine is a favorite for me. Tomato based pasta and pizza sauces work deliciously with her. Or perhaps you'd enjoy this Sangiovese with a meatloaf or roasted chicken entree. However, you are really looking for a feast, I'd go with the heavier dishes such as a perfectly barbecued steak. What about appetizers? I'm hearing you ask. Try some thick, creamy soups, hearty stews, and hard cheeses. The world is your oyster, my dear friends. Try something new. Take a gamble. This isn't your monopoly money. You will lose Park Place. Worst case scenario, you never feast on it again. Just like that, easy as pie. Best case scenario, it's so delicious that you devour each and every tasty morsel, piece by piece, relishing in the flavors and enjoying the sensations left on your palate. Experience the beauty of this magical potion, and believe me, you will feel like dancing on the moon. Cheers to mystical auras.
Cheers, Santi. Thank you so much for reading the chapter, Miss Joanna. So,
Yeah,
Did you outline this book, or you write it organic?
I did it organic. I really didn't outline it. It was really, I would probably say that I started doing a review weekly. I would do it on weekends because during the week was my long schedule commuting into New York City. I had 11-hour days, so I really wasn't indulging in wine. I had to work. I had to work.
Yes,
I had to have a
yes.
clear head, and I had a responsible job. So I really did this all on the weekends, and that's how it was really just coming, off the top of my head. It really wasn't an outline. I did my research, and I took notes, and then the notes that I took, I turned into a review. And each review is probably about 2.5 pages. Yeah. So, and I've got close to 20 of them.
Is there a follow up for this book?
There is not as of yet. However,
Yeah.
you never know. You never know what's going to happen in the future. But as of yet, I feel there's just much more that I need to do with Divulge Divino. I think I feel like there's um, so much more that I could share the book with, and there's more to do with it, and more book signings and wine tastings and events that I can plan around it. So at this point, I'm focusing mostly on just this book, and then maybe down the road there could be a part two to Divulge Divino.
Looking forward for that part two, Miss Joanna.
Yes.
And if you want to revise the book itself, which part of the book you want to revise?
If I wanted to, I'm sorry, if I wanted to revise it
Yes.
or.
Yes. If you want to
Um,
change some of parts of the book, which part?
Yeah, I don't really know if I would change anything because I really like the way that I have different names. I don't know if I would really change anything. The order that I have it in is in no particular order. I start off with a poulet foussé, and then I go into a tempranillo. And then I go into a Chardonnay. So there's really, I also have a sparkling cava, a Spanish cava, um, a Bulgarian Nebbiolo. So there's really no particular order. A Shiraz. So I really can't say that I would revise anything. I mean, I would say it's pretty close to perfection the way I have it. And then with the images that I have in each chapter, which you can see if this is video as well. Each chapter has a image of one of my abstract paintings that go along with the wine. So I really don't think I would change anything. If anything, the only thing I would do would be to add to it and maybe add another 16 wine reviews, you
That'd
know,
be awesome.
in the part two, if I do decide to make a second book.
That would be
Yeah.
awesome, Miss Joanna. So, what
Mhm.
methods did you use to refine your writing style in
So
writing
really,
Divulge Divina?
yeah. So, I mean, I really wrote it in a very conversational, witty conversational tone. Um, I asked questions a lot while I was writing. I asked the reader, you know, what are they thinking of, or what are they looking for, or what flavors they're looking to find, or what flavors, or what their sniffy nose will uncover. So I really kind of turned it around. I didn't really make it something where you're just reading, because you're being questioned as the reader to really kind of uncover your flavors, and you're being guided into the way that I'm uncovering it. So I'm sharing my experience with you. So that's pretty much how it's written.
Definitely. So, how
Mhm.
did you ensure your book is resonates with your intended audience?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How did you ensure Divulge Divino resonates with your intended audience?
So really, I think that the audience is a someone who enjoys wine, someone who is, as I said earlier, is not a wine snob, somebody who is looking for a good value, someone who is willing to spend $25 instead of $55 or $65 or $75. It's really somebody who wants to, who has an open mind, who wants to learn about wines, who wants to learn about flavors, who wants to learn about food pairings, what go with what, and what would you try it with, and what kind of appetizers you can have with it, and could this be a dessert wine? You know, it's really someone who just wants to um, absorb like a sponge any kind of information that they can learn about a bottle of wine. You know, that's really who my reader is. Somebody who is curious, someone who wants to learn, someone who wants to know.
So, how did you handle writer's block or periods of creative stagnation when you're writing Divulge Divina?
So I self-published it. I did it on Kindle Direct Publishing, and I am the illustrator, I am the editor, I am the proofreader. I did it all myself. So, you know, you have to format it in the when you use the website. It kind of just moves you along and kind of works with you as you're editing it yourself. I before I decided to self-publish it, I called a couple of publishers, and I really wasn't happy with the fact that I really didn't have a lot to say. You know, they would kind of take the ball and run with it. And by self-publishing it myself, I was able to do all the editing. I was able to decide which images I wanted in each chapter, and I was, you know, once again in the driver's seat, which is the way I wanted to do it. I wanted all the decisions to be from me, and not from somebody who doesn't know who I am, you know, and that's why I decided to self-publish it.
So, what will be your advice for those aspiring writers out there?
So I would say, I mean, if you if you want to be in control of your material and your manuscript, and you want to do it at your own pace and not at somebody else's pace, then I would highly recommend Kindle Direct Publishing. If you want to hand it over to someone and say, listen, you take care of it, you make all the decisions for me, and I'll pay you a certain amount of money, then I would say definitely go with the publisher. It really
Definitely.
depends on, yeah, it really depends on, it's a very, very personal decision. It's really, you know, what you're looking for.
So, Miss Joanna, what's your short-term and long-term goals in writing?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What is your short-term and long-term goal in writing?
So I would say that I'm very pleased with the book, and like I said, I feel that there is much more that I can do with the book. I would say I need to really get it out there more. I have it on Amazon in Kindle and paperback format. I want to schedule some book signings. I also want to schedule book signings with wine tastings from wines in the book. I think those are my next plan. That's next on the agenda, to schedule to select a venue and schedule a book signing with the wines, a couple of selected wines from the book, so I can talk about the wines that I selected, and then my readers can enjoy them as I'm reading it to them. So I think that would be probably my next couple of steps. Something that I want to plan in person here in the Tampa area.
Miss Joanna Barbola, thank you so much for sharing Divulge Divina to the world. And can you
Thank
please,
you. Thank you so much.
you're welcome, can you please invite our listeners to support Divulge Divina?
Yes. Well, you can find me on Amazon.com under Divulge Divino.
Yes, 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 people, let's support Miss Joanna Barbola because if you support her, more wine tasting to come, more books to come. So, Miss Joanna Barbola, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon. Again, Miss Joanna, thank you so much. And you are most welcome to come back if you have